Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite. We are 2 games down, which means that we have 4 to go before we crown our victor, and they walk away with $16,000 out of the $250,000 prize pool that we have here every month. It is Europe, and Europe is up on top. Top 100 of the best players here are competing to prove that they are the best of the very best. I'm your host, Hello Kelly Link, and of course we got Shia Wager and Levin2K calling all of the action here. Game 2 wrapped up and done. Shia Wager, though, what was your impressions on game number 2?
Game number 2 was very interesting because usually there's someone that holds height from 7th all the way to 9th zone and drops down, like Squeeze in game 1. But Kinzel actually got taken over by MXR. We had a height retake happen with shockwaves, crash pads, whatever. And the dynamic range of game 2 just looks really good so far.
Levin2K, was there a player that really stood out to you?
In particular, I think I was gonna say I would have been impressed with Kinzel, right? Because seeing him up on there on a height, right? Like we've seen him have some better solo performances of late. I really want to be able to look back and see how he actually lost it, right? Because obviously he dropped down, got the elimination onto Benji, but then ended up getting taken out a bit later after that. But I think, yeah, it's odd, right, for us to see that happen, where someone just kind of loses height in the manner he did. Obviously, usually you'd see someone hold it from 7th to 9th, like Shio said, and so the battle for high ground right now, it's just going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. If we can see something like that happen again in other lobbies, but you can see here on the screen the eliminations that Kinzel was able to get there, right? Some pretty stuff, but ultimately, Lecce, doing what I said we wanted to see him do, right? I said, Lecce, he needs a comeback, right? He got decimated in game 1, right? He got sniped, it was all over, and then he comes back, picks up a win. I think that shows great resilience. I think that shows great character for Lecce.
And as we were saying earlier, mentality to be able to get down in 61st place in game 1 and then take a victory royale with 5 eliminations in game 2, you got to stay in the mental game. But was that enough to get him in our top 20 leaderboard? Well, considering that there's only 2 games, I could imagine that we're going to be seeing Lecce's name. But up on top, it is none other than Dazen Ho, 124 points right now. An incredible performance from him, getting 2nd and then 5th place in the 1st and 2nd game, respectively. But MXR is going to be holding 2nd place right there. It's going to be math real quick, 7-point difference from 1st and 2nd place. Vato is going to be holding 3rd place. We got Jamside in 4th, and then Mr. Savage himself is going to be holding 5th.
Yeah, I'm liking this progression for Mr. Savage. 14th after the first game, now in 5. If he keeps it up, I feel like by game 4 or 5, he'll be at that top spot, which is unheard of from semis to grand finals.
Yeah, the Siptos, who was my pick to do really well today, right? Had a rough first game, but came back this game, 10th, 4 eliminations. That's some good stuff, right? Obviously, starting to get into that groove. I think the leaderboard is starting to shake up, right? I think we can kind of get a decent idea on who's really showed up to the finals today to play, So, everybody comes to play, but who really comes to play? You know what I'm saying? So let's see how the rest of these games go, right? If we can see some more consistency from someone like a Dazino and EMXXR, right, then I think that'll be great because so far they've started off amazing.
Definitely looking amazing right here. In our top 20 leaderboard, Thomas HD, Deceptos, Castory, Flokia. I mean, it is the who's who right now in our top 20 leaderboard. And of course, you can see him in 15th place, Benji Fishy right there. And you guys were talking about it, a lot of people in chat as well. Mr. Savage and Benji Fishy, the duo possibility that could happen in November here for the DreamHack Open. So I know we already announced the chat, but I do want to shift focus back again onto those duos. And Levin2K, what are you most excited for with November and the duos coming?
Well, with duos, it's almost like, what could it be? Because I think it's incredibly unfair that so far we're talking about duos and we haven't mentioned the former duo champions of FNCS.
Oh.
Andalex and Nate, they won FNCS. They were duos. They were arguably the best duo in the EU. They obviously had a bit of a rocky relationship, right? A bit of a breakup, right? They're not playing with each other in trios anymore. And now both their trios are obviously landing towards Sweaty as well. There's a bit of a rivalry there. I've spoken to Andalex personally, and when I asked him about Nate, it wasn't anything negative, but he wasn't the most positive. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we're best of friends now. It was more of like Nate, he's doing his thing, I'm doing mine. So, to see these guys probably not going to be duoing with each other when, last time we had a massive duo competition, they were literally the best duo. it's a shame. It's definitely going to be a shame. Hopefully they can, you know, rekindle their relationship.
Oof. Shia Wager, anything that you want to add to the duo's discussion, or are you just excited for November to start?
Listen, I didn't know it was that serious, but for me, it is kind of like that in terms of, like, you know, how times have changed. I assume that everyone wants, like, you know, those classic duos to come back. I'm talking like classic Stompy Chinkin type things, but that might not happen anymore, right? I want to see how people evolve, how the teammate dynamic evolves as well. And it's not just EU. There's so many other, you know, NA East and NA West. There's a trio right now in NA West that's dominating, right? On top, that's 3 players. How are they going to split things apart to become a duo? That's huge.
Isn't that going to be exciting to see, or not exciting, maybe depressing is the better word to put, but which player is going to be dropped? We constantly see now the trios, FNCS's trios for this season, and which player is going to be dropped. And I don't even want to speculate. I don't want any negativity here, because this is the grand finals for Europe, chat. It's all about positivity right now. And the player that is positively feeling great, it is Dazen Ho right now. First place, 124 points with MXR. Right behind him, there is a 7-point difference. Honestly, this is actually one of the closest that we've seen grand finals. The top 5 all with 100 points, and this is only game 2. We have 4 more games to go. If one of your favorite players has not been performing well they got 4 games to prove themselves. So make sure you send them love and everything. Make sure to send us love. Of course, follow DreamHack.com/Fortnite to sign up for those duos competitions. Maybe you got a partner already in mind and you guys want to sign up to get ready for it. Well, you can do that right now. DreamHack.com/Fortnite. And also make sure to follow DreamHack FN on Twitter to find out more information about everything you know and love of Fortnite. But gentlemen, I believe we do have game 3 that's going to be starting in just a few moments. We've been able to check in on some incredible players, but is there a player that we haven't been able to watch their perspective that you want to watch, Shayo?
Ooh, for me, I just want to see, and it's not because of observing or anything, but refs guard in an end game, right? I'm looking at players who are actually being taken out early that we know can perform at a top 20 level, but should be at kind of the bottom right now based off the last 2 games. I want to see them really shine in game 3 and bring the competition back and make it even closer.
And on that note, not just Refsguard, but Janice and Snazy as well. 3 incredible players kind of sitting at the bottom right now. No one placing above 94th out of those 3 names that we listed. But same question to you, 11-2K. Is there a player's perspective that you really want to watch going into game number 3?
Well, I think the one you said there, Snazy, I think obviously we saw Snazy and how things ended for him in game 1, and obviously not a great start. But Snazy is someone who we've seen be a you know, good solo player. So, you know, to see him kind of come out and have a really rough start is somewhat uncharacteristic, I'd say. Hopefully he can sort of pull things together. I talked about how the Frenchies seem to always do well in solos, and obviously he is, you know, from the mighty land of France. So hopefully, you know, he can start to turn things around.
Anything is possible here at the DreamHack Open. We still got 4 games to go, and these players that are on the bottom can easily turn it around and take that victory royale with 6, 7, 8 eliminations and find themselves 100 points ahead of where they were in the previous game. And of course, chat, we want to thank you guys for joining us here at the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite. We do this every month for North American East, West, and Europe. Of course, November is going to be a little different. We're going to be switching from solos to duos. So hopefully you guys already have your partner planned out. And I already just said this, but I'm going to say it again because I want to make sure that you guys know it. DreamHack.com/Fortnite to sign up right now for the November tournament. It's going to be the same $250,000 prize pool for that. So you guys definitely aren't going to want to miss it. And you're definitely not going to want to miss game number 3, which is going to be starting after this quick break, everyone. So grab some snacks, maybe a drink, and we'll be back with game number 3.
Upstate New York and Stark Industries has been absolute doom for people on EU today for 2 games. Hopefully they can find their domain somewhere else in game number 3, Levin.
Yeah, you know, like you said, upstate New York is getting a bit hectic. You'd never believe there's any sort of, you know, coronavirus quarantining going on there, because the amount of people in such a close vicinity is absolutely crazy. It's unsafe for most players here, right? So maybe we'll see more of the same, maybe we won't. It seems like these north zones are incredibly prevalent today. But some people have been able to handle it, right? Obviously, someone we were watching in the top right of your screen, Mr. Savage, he's been doing pretty well so far.
I mean, he's a kind of a finesser of those North zones. I mean, name a more iconic duo than North zones in EU Grand Finals, to be honest. Maybe we'll see them playing too next month in November when we switch to that mode. But now we tune in into some other places, some other names who are also at that bottom spot of the leaderboard. Browner, 5 points, looking for an Elam. Thomas and Anas already picks them up. This fight, man, if you're right now near that bottom 90 and you're getting out this early into the game for game 3, it might be a wrap for your mental for the night.
Yeah, this is the point where you do start to think, hey, I've got to like do well, you know? Like you can't, you know, afford to have that many bad games now, right? Obviously, you know, you do got to take things one game at a time, but you know, if you're someone like Caxper, sorry, messed up my words there. If you're someone like Caxper and you're going down that early in game 3, you're probably starting to tilt a bit, right? Like it is starting to trigger in, but hey, maybe they'll prove me wrong about the whole mentality thing, right? Obviously, conversation already sparking about that, right? NAEU mentality, as we see Reason here taking a fight at Holly. I'll be honest, I was a player, I'd completely write Holly off as a potential POI. I just don't want there to be any possibility of Reason being within 100 meters from me. Like,
Cross-regionally across the world, there's some big winners that are very aggressive, especially box to box, and they can get in your mind, just like Reason that did there to Tinox. It's true. I don't know why you would want to be around Holly Hedges. Not only is Reason landing there, I feel like it's the easiest POI to third party on the map fast.
Yeah, I agree, and now obviously now like with the rifts nearby, like people just like there's so many people like in like rotating through that area anyway now as well. So it's just like I don't know. It's a bit of a messy one. I would advise against it. I drop here, gets tagged down pretty hard, and Clement's gonna get that sound. Yeah, Clement gets that sound cue, so he's gonna go on the offensive. Yeah. At first, Clement was kind of backing off, right? But he gets a sound cue. He hears that, you know, the headshot came in on eye drop. And so he says, hey, look, I know you're low now. Let me take a pop shot, and picks up that elimination.
I'm wondering if he's actually taken out eye drop or if it's someone else playing with that gamer tag, because this man is not usually playing how he does in terms of solos, right? Usually eye drop has a set spot, or correct me if I'm wrong, but we've seen him at Dooms, now at Misty. I'm not even sure where he landed game 1 because we don't even think it was Dooms. So
I drop feels the imposter.
Most probably, man. It's pretty suspect, but let's see what happens in game number 4. That's another game down for iDrop.
Yeah, and speaking of, you know, not the best of games, Snazy, who I believe he's in like 99th, right? Or like somewhere around there. He can't afford to go down. But like the issue is like, you don't want to be fighting O'Reilly. Like, he's like one of the best fighter, if not the best fighter in all of EU. And so like, you're in a 1v1 to kind of save your tournament, because this is tournament defining for Snazy, right? If he goes down here, you can call it quits. And the prophecy was written. Snazy's not having a great day whatsoever.
I don't think we call it quits. I think we call it, you know, now you pull an eye drop. Now is where you go for another side of the map, maybe. We saw in EU, like all the way back season X trios, saw Michigan Aqua, 3 first games, horribly off spawn 50-50, you know, deaths back and forth. They kind of switched things up and ended up winning everything. So it's only really been 2 games. We've seen it happen in solos as well, where a player has a very bad start, but then starts to adapt, starts to learn. Or sometimes it takes maybe 4 games to get to that spot. And yeah, maybe Snazy won't win, but I feel like he can still come top 10, top 5. He has a few good ones back to back. Right now it's Trulex versus Brizzy. Trulex is also somewhere near that 70/80th place on the leaderboard. He's trying to switch that up with a quick early game fight. There's a big pump and a nice pickup on a Brizzy.
You know, Trulex is obviously on EP, right? And he's, you know, EP does have like a great roster, like a good talent pool. But I feel like Trulex is one of the ones on EP where he's probably like not talked about as much as some of the others, right? Obviously, Verox, right, and Mexi, you know, they're like the British boys, right? They get their credit there. Queasy's obviously like a big fan favorite, right? Even Splashy, of course, who played amazingly on Heat 2. And he's starting to be talked about a lot more. I feel like Trulex doesn't necessarily get that, you know, name recognition considering the fact that he does seem to be relatively good at getting to that end game, right? Obviously, in terms of seeing him have them pop-off games, you know, not something I'm necessarily accustomed to myself, but I do always see Trulex's name towards end game, and I think it's only a matter of time before he does have that one huge performance.
It's consistency over time, right? But how much can you play like super consistent and then have things like back-to-backs? Like you talk about Teak, you talk about what Savage is trying to do today. Yes, you have to be somewhat consistent, but you have to try to take risks too. And I feel like Trulex might not do that enough, you know, to really get number 1 instead of sit at number 5 and number 10 24/7.
A lot of time that comes down to you know, individuals and how we perceive, you know, greatness, right? And I think that's a fair assessment, because I know, you know, I share your sentiment. I feel the same way. I'd rather have the person who, you know, has, you know, a victory here and a victory there, rather than the person who has consistent, you know, 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, right? But, you know, there are definitely people who do feel that way, where they'd rather see, you know, those kind of consistent performances, and they value those more. You see here, this fight is not ending anytime soon. So we're going to switch away over towards Nikov, who is pretty lonely here. Can't see anyone on the map towards him. Obviously, you can see the fight breaking out in the distance. So, how do you feel about Nikov recently?
Recently watching Nikov, I'm looking at, once again, a little bit of either no risk taking, and so you're not really in that spotlight enough, or taking risks and unfortunately they don't go the way you want them to, right? From what I see happen right now.
Oh no.
Just for this game, it actually looks like a really good spot he's in. Rezon in his second fight of the game so far. It's a big build fight too that both players are trading, and if Nikov has a good angle here, he can pick up 2 very free eliminations. There's one on a Reason, easily done. And now he can actually chase down the other if he thinks about it. But no, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to consistency for Nikov. He's always playing for the next action in the game, not his current situation, which right now is definitely benefiting him. But I've seen him actually trip over his feet with that mindset over a few games in trios.
Yeah, and picking up Reason there as well in such a cheeky little manner. Sure, he'll be licking his lips about that one. That one was free, as the kids say, right? Switching over here to Wakey, who not seen too much of in terms of solos today. I've not seen him. I saw him the one time getting a nice elimination, but you know, Wakey's someone who historically has, you know, always been considered a great solo player, and you know, he's had his runs, he had his kind of era per se, late 2019, you know, around this, you know, kind of winter time, and you know, maybe that's what he was waiting. Yeah, straight up.
He was literally the best. Like, people were watching his stuff, even on NA. Like last week, I think NA East, he was playing and actually doing pretty well in grand finals. And this time, it's not going to be that hot of a start in 2 games. DeZeno, this man's in first place right now with 124 total points. Right behind him is obviously going to be MXR that we saw win that last game, or get towards the top of that last game. Died over to Lechi's movement in the final 1v1. He has a little bit of a 7-point lead on second. As long as he lives over here, he should be fine. But he's right next to Arion, who we saw is really good at getting eliminations when he's a box above people. He took out Janice, I think, 2 games in a row. And now very similar, DeZeno above the box, crash pad, signature classic from Arion, and he picks off our first place spot.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, right, like I really wanted to see DeZeno. He's not someone who's necessarily accustomed to being in first place in lobbies like this. So, you know, how would he be able to adjust? How would he be able to kind of maintain this? And obviously, not a great start. Obviously, Arion doing like what he does best, right? We've literally seen him do that multiple times today, and so not surprised he's able to pick that one up. And unfortunately, DeZeno not gonna be able to maintain first, most likely. But you know, that he still has a couple of games left, right?
Yeah, I mean, having that much of space between like first and even the top 20, like it's almost 100 points. It's like something like 80 points right now. So that DeZeno's ahead. He'll be able to stay up there. I'm looking at players right now like Andretta though. Like probably the majority of this lobby who are at 40, 50 points, who are in the top 50, top 30. These guys looking to get higher and higher. they have to be the most consistent. If they drop even one game, they can really just go down all the way to bottom 80, bottom 70. So these guys have to be very, very careful.
No, taking a look here. Andretta, sorry. I almost said Andrea. He's gonna be speeding his way through. Oh dear, Andrea running into the game 2 winner.
Is that a good or bad thing? I feel like Lecce, after a game win, sorts to calm down a little bit. Like, ooh, this might not make him calm at all. He might get angry here. He might push forward. I think Queasy's way down the hill. This is an isolated fight between Andretta and Lecce. Lecce's so low. Andretta has that full shield. He has a shockwave he can use to, if he wants to get into the box creatively. Still popping pressure, but it's brick build, so it's going to be hard to break into. Other swipe gets denied by a wall. Lecce finds a chance to pop 2 more minis, and now they're kind of on even footing. Lecce with the green pump. Both bros actually with the green pump, so it's going to be even shots back and forth. Lecce takes the first one. The beams are there. Can Andretta keep up? He does it. He's actually faster. Our game 2 winner out.
And that's going to be really good for Andretta. Andretta is one of them, you know, rhythm players, confidence-based players, right? Where, you know, if he starts to, you know, have a couple great plays, you know, he kind of carries that form over, right? If Andretta had gone down there, that would have completely shattered his confidence, you know, and I've seen it before. So really nice for him there to pick up Lecce, especially considering Lecce was the game 2 winner. What implications would that have for Lecce? He's gonna have to kind of pick things up. Like you said, he does tend to calm down after doing well and getting big results. And right there, it comes to his detriment because he's now out of the game.
So now a lot of our top 10, top 20 have already been taken out this game. Xqueeze is one of the people who's kind of surviving in their 7th place when he started this game. Hasn't got any more points so far right now. If he holds on and makes endgame, he can really boost up, even probably get ahead of Dezinho, who's in first, but obviously not alive in this game. Also a very different game in total, but these patterns of crash pads are happening over and over. Xqueeze does not let it happen to him so easily, though. Nipsey gets taken out in a blink of an eye.
You sort to see some of the excitement of the freedom from players not having to listen to their IGLs hold them on a leash, you know? It's like, I ain't got anyone here to tell me what to do anymore. I'm letting loose. And Andrea picking up another elimination, 2nd of the game now. That's just great for Andrea. He's feeling good. But yeah, the crash pad plays are, you know, they kind of signify what solos have been for the past, you know, 2 seasons in my eyes, right? Crash pads have been so significant. Obviously, this season lesser than last, but was definitely something that, you know, we identify incredibly strongly with solos and how impactful they've been to box fighting and that meta.
The evolution of that meta too, like people are now used to getting crash padded, or it's kind of telegraphed. We just saw some defense there from Xqueeze. He knew it was coming. He was ready to position himself in the box to really just land a 1 pump if Nipsey was in there with him, but he obviously blocked him off with the wall. Got a nice triangle edit and a quick shot off to a nice finish. Now Andretta's moving forward. He just left Soul Datu behind. That's a man that has like an insane amount of numbers in his name. He'll have 2 elims. We saw him take out Lecce before. And with 51 points, this could be his chance to catch up. Remember, a lot of our top 10 are not alive in this lobby.
Yeah, and this is where we start to get a shake-up within that 10 to 20 area, especially, right? And I think anybody that can start to get, you know, foothold now, gonna be incredibly good going into the next couple of games, right? You have a good game 3 and start to feel on top of the world, and can only wonder how things will play out, right? Especially if some of these players who we've been seeing, like an Andrea, continue to pick up some nice elimination on top of good placement.
This is one of the times we might not even see the zone go north. We saw it every single game so far, but might be a Slurpy Swamps or a Misty Meadows type ending. A little bit more aquatic, a little bit more focused on keeping height still, but you won't have an insane cliff in your way.
Yeah, finally getting away from upstate New York.
It's dangerous. Oh man, but this zone, you can see the mini-map, just the line of boxes. And because of that, people are starting to base above and around each other. That means these quick edits, these huge shots will come back to back to back. But if they keep happening, people are gonna run out of shields just like Nespit. No more blue to pop to be able to stay at 150 plus. So if one more shot comes through, it could be over. Noah Riley in his box. Noah Riley beamed down. Noah Riley taken out of the game.
Yeah, Noah Riley overextending there. And maybe you could argue the same for Nespit because now he's out of the game. Yeah, Exterior's lurking in on that fight. Swiftly came in to take him out. And now he has so much loot available to him, and looks like he probably wouldn't be able to recover all of it, but he's looking good, right? Because he's got the shockwaves in hand. The energy rifle's amazing. A better pump would be ideal. We may see him go back, maybe, will he? No, I think he's going to say the medikits and cut his losses.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
To stay in here. There's 63 people left alive. All these people with 33 points, 40 points. They got to survive up till now until 50th or 30th place. They should be worried because we're getting to that section of the game where people like Frenzy Fishy so far have been having trouble surviving. Maybe it's overpeaks. Maybe it's jitteriness. Maybe it's just the wrong decision. But this is the one moment where maybe these guys need to play a little bit more carefully. Frenzy Fishy says, I don't care. He's just taking shots left and right. He keeps editing over on his box. Just like we saw in game one, a sniper shot could come in and end everything. He even looked at Thomas HD as I said that. If there's anyone that can land that huge snipe, it might be him. But I think Frenzy's got to be careful, just like everyone else in this lobby for now.
You don't want to get too excited, right? You can see what happens when you overextend. You start to bite off a bit more than you can chew, right? Obviously, still Noah Riley lost his life because of it. Our Frenzy's a bit below Surge. We'll see that's all turned around now as he picks up that elimination onto a Nas. Now looking for even more tags, right? He's not done there.
He was somewhat central of that last zone, so he has very good position right now. As fourth is closing in. If this zone does go to the opposite side, I mean, Levin, break this down for me. There's so many people on the edges, no one in the center. What does that mean for these players?
It's going to mean a lot of difficult rotations. So I think we can expect to see it get pretty hectic. Obviously, if you've not got the necessary movement items, today could be a long day for you. Let's just say that, right? Obviously, if it starts to move towards Slurpee, right? Things to get difficult. Okay, so not moving towards Slurpee. There is like this kind of elevation change, right? As you kind of go up the hill here, which a couple players may struggle with. Obviously, I think Benji in a better position than some of the others. I think there's a couple players grouped up behind him there, right? And so they're gonna have a rough time. That we can see now, look, nobody's was at center, so some of these rotations, like, when do you make it, right? Timing is gonna have to be incredibly important. Maybe you just opt to go with the pack, right? And hope you can kind of just have some sort of herd immunity.
Yeah, I mean, that herd immunity might be split on the left side of the zone, on the bottom right of your screen. It's ultimate low ground. It's so deep, there's like a chasm. You can see it in front of Benji. As natural low ground teeters off, Wolfies is kind of on the brink of where it starts. He's still getting beamed, not sure how many mats he has left, but on the right side of the zone, it's actually really, really high, and you might be able to get by unscathed. Benji, though, is sticking to the left. He's still not all the way in. He'll have to climb up slightly from this position. Has crash pads as he switched over to Savage, who is deep inside the zone. He's almost central near it from what I see. Could also be kind of on that line. It's kind of messy as to where everything is right now. But there's 30 seconds for everyone to come in. And you can see on the bottom right, there's still people who are way outside who might get focused, but there's such a high concentration of players on the line. It might not be a problem. You might be able to sneak in. But as soon as the zone moves, Levin, it's about to get crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodfest of cataclysmic proportions, right? So many players in such small vicinity, and you see Benji taking a pop, right? Wolfies and Benji now within millimeters of each other, and so many players fall in there. The TK, Queasy, This is where competitive Fortnite gets fun, man. Look at that zone as well. Oh my goodness, Wolfies goes down to Benji. You could almost read it in the stars. Could have been so close to each other. Janice and Savage are in very tight proximity as well.
We know that Benji is beside Deciptos and Riflo. We know Savage is beside the best position of the zone. Dexy and Mappy on top of him. Janice too, right beside Matzo there too. Exterios, we know, has a very good loadout. Now people will have to move. Savage is actually not next to them. He's on the backside, so he moves straight forward and right in as the zone starts moving. It's a big pump onto Mappy. Oh my God, Mr. Savage.
The Norwegian Prince coming in hot. Doing what he does best. He's going to look for even more now as well, I'm sure, as he rotates in with that shockwave. Maximum efficiency as well, as he takes a high elevation here as well. He might run into Ref's guard.
Oh, no way.
Like. Oh,
is it Ref's guard? If Ref's guard's in this box and Savage takes them out, which he does, that's God loot he can still get. Doesn't even care about the shockwaves. He wants to go straight for height. He is max matted out of his mind. And while people fight, he might just break things down. He finds the one ramp and Janice and Nate, and now left in free fall. Not sure where Janice went, but Savage makes it a 1v1 for height, and Nate might have already dropped it.
And here the rotation comes in again, using that combo of a bounce pad and a crash pad. Benji though, on a low elevation, going absolutely crazy. And the two of them who may end up playing duos with each other in DreamHack, both looking incredibly good right now. Picking up eliminations, causing damage to players all around the lobby. You see here Savage landing towards the citrus as well.
And he's looking for shots. Decipto, Savage on the same layer. Browner and Frenzy all the way down bottom. Thomas HD is trying to find a way to get in, but Benji picks up another elimination on low ground. His map material situation is not looking that good though. Has the room to be able to stay alive and stay ahead of zone with just a few boxes left. The final 50 popped. So we'll see what Benji can do almost just naturally now with just that pump shotgun and purple AR. Arion next to his bots. Can he stop the Sweaty Sands King from really being in this end game? Comparatively, Levin, look at Savage's position. Look at Savage's mats. He is thriving, not even surviving. He is looking so good right now.
And this is where he's most comfortable, right? You know, we've seen him in this position many, many times before, and you know, it doesn't get better than this for him, right? So much room to work with, so much material to work with, and you see him playing the angles like he does so well, picking up one onto Frenzy Fishy, and I can assure you he's not done yet. It's in the battle for high ground. Nate takes it. Savage though, running into some trouble here with Browner. He'll be able to stay alive. The chuck splashes, yeah, the chuck splashes buy him time. The chuck splashes buy him time.
And it's all up to 100. Squirry takes out another. Thomas HD. And now the forest is kind of clearing. No more trees, just players' builds. Decipto slightly ahead of zone. Nate is still holding it all the way from half and half. And now it's kind of a 1v1 on mid. A singular player on low ground, Savage, where you want him to be. And Nate on height. Savage, though, takes a few shots. He's in trouble. Scribby on his walls. No match left. Just one edit separates him from certain doom and death. There it is. Decipto comes to the backside, steals it, but Savage is there with a big response. 20 HP, 11. He can't find the landing. And it's Nate that has the wrap up and the final elim. An almost perfect game from Nate. 4 elims with the victory royale.
Nate swoops in there. Savage was the star of the show, but Nate took it all. We will be back after this break, ladies and gentlemen.